Or good evening, everybody. Good evening, Edmondson Heights and Lieutenant Joshua Watson. I'm just making sure your name is on my lips, that I get it
Yes.
right. Um, Wanted to welcome everybody to this March the 4th, 2025 Edmondson Heights Civic Association meeting. Um, I am going to say that I am not going to hold you this evening, but I do have a couple things I want to jam into. Might not be a lot that I'm thinking of jamming. It's maybe I just write a lot, but we are going to start on time so that we can try to end on time. It's something new we're trying here. Is keeping into having time restraints. Um, so well, I'll start, and I always say if you see me looking off to this side, which I usually am, and I'm just gonna put this in front of me. I'm just looking at my agenda here. Over the next couple of months, I think, as you may have seen last month, we're doing things a little bit differently, just trying to come up with a good format and a way to keep us on track and way to keep us from just kind of spending so much time in our meetings. So I have an agenda for how I'd like the meetings to go, but it just requires a lot. I'd like to begin giving um, some sort of treasurer's report. And yeah, all I can say for the treasurer's report this month or for the last month, I don't think we've spent anything. I don't think we spent anything outside of bills. And where bills are concerned, it's usually our storage unit and insurance. There's a couple things like that. As far as bills or monthly bills are concerned, we do pay to have the internet, no, not the internet, our web page up and going, and periodically we do pay to have someone kind of add things to it and update the web page just a little bit, which we're going to end up having to do again really soon. Angela, if you can note that one. We just need to just update the web page of a couple of things. So um I will say that I have mulled over and over again about a purchase, what I do with Edmondson Heights finances, the way I do with mine, and I'm very stingy with mine. And anything that I have to spend over $75, I have to think long and hard about. But I think it will benefit us a lot for me to purchase a color printer. And that's not a big deal, except I want one that's not just the standard that I can print a couple pages here and there. I want to be able to print off a little bit more. So I'm looking at spending, I'm trying to not spend $400, but I'm just going to tell you $400. Um, there is also, as far as our finances are concerned, um, we have Edmondson Heights, and um, you all know Claire. She's not here tonight because there's nothing to actually for her to present to the community or anything. But there is the third year grant from Chesapeake Bay Trust, where coming up later this week, Angela and I will be meeting with as a part of Be Green to discuss how the this year's grant funding, will be allocated. And this year we got $9,000 funded from the Chesapeake Bay Trust. And we're just gonna discuss how it's gonna be broken down and how we're gonna use it. If you remember from last month, we told you that we spent funding for the last year to hire a design firm and a design and consulting firm. They're called Design Center, and they're going to, a bigger part of what they're going to do is reach out to the community and just kind of ask what you would like to see as far as any changes in the community or any changes with our green spaces. As you know, that's what it's about, is our green spaces. And um, if they get in touch with you, please tell them what you want. Tell them what you're looking for. I think I say a lot of times everything can't come from my brain because you haven't seen my yard. There's no caregiving. Um, but yeah, it's springtime coming, so more than likely they'll be reaching out come spring. Either they'll be going door to door, which is what they said, or and we're also expecting to probably have a couple of I'm not going to say events, but outreach opportunities where they can reach, that we can just kind of set up and they can talk to different community members that way. One of the things, and I'm just probably going to jump ahead just a little bit, but as far as dumpster day is concerned, we may have a dumpster day. We did put in an application. Angela, has that been answered?
It hasn't been answered yet, so we're still
Okay.
waiting for that. And
Okay, we are still
Margaret,
waiting.
so saw Margaret about 2 weeks ago, and she said if they hadn't responded, then to reach out to her. She can do it on her end and reach out to them on our behalf. But when I actually submitted it during that time, they were saying that they were not accepting applications at the time. So it just may be that they're just waiting to respond to everybody at the same time. But I'll reach out to Margaret and do a follow up.
Okay. We will I will definitely get back to everybody on what we come up with, what if we're doing it, if we're not doing it, and what date that's gonna be. Um Also, I'm still under the treasurer's report I've got going on here is that we have got mentioned last month that the board has we've hired a consultant. We used I actually don't think it was funding from, yeah, it was funding from last year's grant used to get a consultant to help us kind of figure out and reconfigure the board. Um Everything is just kind of, I don't know. I think it can be better. I have not been, as you've probably heard me say, very have not have not felt very good about my leadership. The board says different, but that's just me. Um, what we are going to do, the board met with our consultant. It's mindfulness consulting, and the grant paid for up to that last meeting. And we're going to have to figure out whether the Chesapeake Bay funding will pay for any upcoming meetings or with her consultations, or if we will be paying for it. If we will be paying for it, as I said, I treat your wallet like I treat my own. Um, so to skip on to the outcome of, and away from the treasurer's report, the outcome, we did meet with mindfulness consulting last week before. One day we met with them last week, I'm pretty sure of it. And the board and board members from last year, we met and we wanted to discuss um what everyone, we want to get everyone's opinion on where they think the board could go, where we fall short, and how we can just, do we need to rearrange things, do we even need a board actually, um and how to take some of the duties and just spread them around. um we had a couple of suggestions that different board members can take turns at different like maybe quarterly, yearly, and do the newsletter. And these are just suggestions that all board members have access to the email account so that everyone can have the opportunity to answer questions for everyone. Um, we did decide, for the most part, we did decide that for now we're going to hold back on community events. As I said before, the turnout or the interest from the community doesn't seem to be um, on the scale that it just doesn't seem to be there. Last year's National Night Out, we moved it from Harwell and Granville at the park, and we moved it to the school under a tree at on Sunset at Edmondson Heights Elementary School. And there we had the opportunity to reach more kids because that's where the kids go and they play. And we did have people who walked over from different streets and came over um, and got something to eat and just kind of it was nice. Um, but the board seems to think that the work versus the output, maybe we do too much as far as the work is concerned. Um, but at the same time, it is my interest to continue, or hopefully this year, we still do something for the community where we just kind of pull out the grill and maybe do like a really shallow event. What we don't want, we have at this event, we have the firefighters come out, the police comes out, we have our delegates. Everybody tries to make their rounds to all of the neighborhoods in their specific district, and we want to have a good welcome for them. And if we can't have a good welcome for them, and if we can't have more than kids to greet them and to meet with them, kids are fine. However, we still like to be able to do something and make it count. We'd like for everyone to join us. We like having the giveaways because um, we don't get to see everyone very often, especially, I want to say especially since we do our meetings virtually, but there weren't a lot of people coming to in-person meetings when we were having those. So just how to just kind of reach out and say hi and just kind of have a gathering and have a good time. It just doesn't seem to be balancing itself out. We're still gonna consider and figure things out, but we don't want to waste anyone's time and we don't want too much um, to be on the plates of anyone in particular. Um, Last year um, we had a couple of events because we did have the Chesapeake Bay funding, and we were able to, when we did the park cleanup, we were able to have someone come out and um, grill and set up the grill and all of those things. And I learned about bacon jam, which was very interesting. I'd never heard of it before then. Um, and it was good. And anytime we can just see the numbers increase, with my whole heart, I'm loving it. But we want to, if lack of interest, it means people don't necessarily want it. So we don't want to do anything that no one wants. Um, but we will guess keep you guys. Well, not I guess we'll keep you guys posted, but we'll definitely um keep you posted. We don't think we're gonna do National Night Out. As I did say that gosh, I do like having the opportunity to kind of put the grill up and bring our chairs and just that's what I like. And maybe I can just do that at my house. Maybe I can just do it at my house. But just giving everyone the opportunity to every now and then you just meet a new neighbor and you get to show that there's a community here and it does have life in it. It does have people who care. So that is me getting off of my tasks there. Um, as far as we do have a meeting with Angela and I have a meeting with the consultant. I guess we're gonna figure out again what we're going to do because the last meeting she had with our board should have been our last meeting, but we did realize that there were things that we definitely need to we we need help with. And one of the things, well, actually a couple of things because they're gonna eventually involve the community is um we are expecting to discuss the clarification of roles of the board members. Um, we will be working to update the covenant guidelines and the bylaws. And the intention is to, whatever is changed, we have our bylaws and maybe the covenant, we will send it out and ask for input from the community because we can't necessarily change anything without we won't get a majority because no one cares until it affects them. But we do have to be transparent and make it known the changes that we're looking to make. Um, and the community has asked for changes. The community has asked for us to be a little bit um, to swing the belt a little bit harder, if I can say that. Um, so we have to look to see what changes we can make that are sustainable, something that we can keep it going, we can feed into it, and um, yeah, it's just something that we can continue to do. That it'll be more beneficial for the community. Um, yeah, and we'll put that somewhere for it to be viewable before we finalize it. We have to I don't necessarily know where at the moment, but it has to be finalizing it means having it documented through the county. I'll find out. I always do. But because our covenant, our bylaws are kind of it's our laws. It's our laws, and we are um we are a true entity, and we do have the right to say when you move into this neighborhood your by signing to say that you are going to move into a property that is here, you sign to say that you abide by our guidelines. So we just need to update those. They're outdated. Um, and yeah, we get whoever wants to have input, what have you. Um, but we'd love to hear from you. We always love to hear from you. Um, I don't have okay. I had it up in front of me. I wasn't looking at anybody, so I didn't know if anybody had a response or reaction to anything so far. Works for me. Um, I would like to call Lieutenant Watson to the front of the class for a second because I've placed on
Yes.
the agenda a place for if you could put the sandwich down
Yes.
because it would be a sandwich for me. um, I have this is usually where we would ask Officer Benz Clark if there's anything that we need to know about anything crime related in the neighborhood.
Um, at the time, the only thing that I would pass on is to make sure people don't leave loose items in their vehicles because we're getting to that time where people are back outside at night and they start to rummage through vehicles. Right now, it's not necessarily a problem where we're having a lot of issues, but we're getting to that time of year where people are starting to come back outside. So it's make sure you lock your vehicles, leave don't leave anything of any value inside the vehicle, things like that. But Right now, we aren't really having any huge issues. I think the community's doing a really good job right now with um, problems. I mean, do you all have any complaints or questions of me? Anything to ask?
I will say that um earlier this week, no,
Hmm.
today is Tuesday, so it couldn't be earlier this week. I will, just so everyone knows, I will call 911 really quick. I have no problem calling 911. Um, and I was out walking the dog and I saw something that really bothered me and that could be a problem in the future. And I
Okay.
saw these two, I was walking along the 1500 block of Ingleside, and there
Okay.
were these two, I'll call them gentlemen for the sake of calling them gentlemen. They were maybe late teens, early 20s. They
Hmm.
didn't look like they did okay. They didn't look thrown away. They didn't look unkempt or anything like that.
Hmm.
Um, however, they had I do come from a place where I know some stuff too. But they had red scarves, red flags hanging from their back pockets. I mean, and they looked like brand new flags too. It was a beautiful red.
Okay.
Um, and I saw them walking. Of course, they stood out. And they went into the backyard of a house that is facing Ingleside. It's not in Edmondson Heights, it's across the street on Ingleside.
Okay.
I think that was Cecil Avenue
Okay.
and Cecil Street, Cecil Road. And they standing in this person's backyard and just kind of looking around, and they it they didn't have to tell me they were up to no good. They were obviously up to no good.
Okay.
And I saw this. They started to walk away. They started to walk up Cecil a little bit more, and they were just kind of looking in people's backyards and stuff. And they were walking in the middle of the road, and I called 911. And by
Hmm.
the time, not complaining, but by the time 911 they answered me, I was back at home because I was
Okay.
doing it just kind of an incognito. Hey, this is a call. Whatever this is, it's not good. Um, and that was something I would like to, whatever we can do, if we can keep that out of or
Hmm.
discourage it from being in Edmondson Heights. I and you can tell me yes or no that y'all don't want me bothered, but I say we call 911 when we see this because
No.
they were literally standing in someone's yard.
So I would echo what you said on that. That every people should call 911 because I will say last summer we did address a group of juveniles that kept gathering near
Mm-hmm.
Pat's Pizza. We
Well,
haven't
thank
gotten
you.
any complaints lately about it over the
Mm-hmm.
summer. I think we kind of cleared that one up. So
Yeah.
the big and um, I believe some of that could have been some similar activity too. So the best thing I can ask is you all don't hesitate to call us. Don't wait.
Mm-hmm.
You can always call and ask to be anonymous. Um, they won't give us your name, your phone number. You can remain anonymous, and you can give us any information you want that you think would be important for us when we respond. But we definitely will work on those issues uh, this spring and summer because we know we had them last year, and we did a community walk, um, and we did some very proactive enforcement in that area to try and uh, deter that group from gathering there. So I think you did the right thing. If you have any questions or ever have any issues, don't hesitate to call 911. And I'm going to put my email address and phone number to my office in the chat for anyone that wants to ever call or has any questions. But
Okay.
if you see something that needs immediate response, yes, please call 911.
Yeah. Because I'm old, but not that old. And I understood it. And one, thank you guys for taking care of that next to Pat's Pizza. And I remember when we were Angela and I would drive, she took me past there to see the fellas over there. And but the
Hmm.
guys I saw recently, were an uprated version of these. They looked like they could have been coming from a job or something. They were kind of clean cut, but
Okay,
yeah, these weren't raggedy people. They weren't raggedy
I
looking young
understand.
men.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so but I saw them standing in the person's backyard and looking around, and they didn't know apparently how to, they probably weren't, they looked new to breaking in someone's stuff. But
Hmm.
I definitely, yeah, I called, and I encourage anybody else from, and Lieutenant Watson just put his email address in the chat for everybody.
And
Um,
that's the direct line to my office as well. So if you call that number, you will get me.
from what time to what time?
From usually about 6:30 to about 3 p.m.
Okay. Okay. So, I usually, how about for, because usually I call, I get in touch with Officer Benz Clark. We
Okay,
have, so I'll add you to that list of people that I get in contact with. So yeah, thank you.
no problem. I, I'm always here. I'll say I don't know if you all have met Captain Cross, the new captain. He came in September. Um,
No.
Him and I are trying to get as involved as possible in the community. Just to give you some background on myself, I'm actually from the area. I grew up on Flannery Lane. Um, I lived there for 22 years. Um, and I played basketball in the area. I played at Rico at Southwest Academy, things like that. So I'm from the area.
Okay.
When I joined the police department in 2009, after the academy, I spent 5 years in Woodlawn as a patrol officer. So
Okay.
I have a lot of background knowledge of the area, the people. I have some relationships with people that go back years. I did leave from 2015 until about the end of 2021 is when I came back through promotions, corporal and sergeant, things like that.
Of
From
course.
from 2022 until about from January of 22 until June of 2024, I was in charge of the midnight shift in Woodlawn. So I did not have as much of a interaction with the public and the community
Mhm.
as much, but getting this assistant commander position in June, I've been trying to put myself out there as much as I can and join community meetings. And Captain Cross is doing the same as well. So if you ever need anything, don't hesitate to call. We are trying to do the best we can to get involved and get to know everyone. And um, like you talked about earlier, we are definitely trying to get the community back involved into community events because I have seen that decline over the years. Um,
Mhm.
and we are trying to find some new ways to get the younger generation involved. I'm only 35 years old, but I have seen it change, and we are trying very hard. We even have an event to do mock job interviews with the students at Woodlawn High on Friday just to try and put our faces out there and change the narrative a little bit. So we're doing all we can. And if you have any ideas, please don't hesitate to call or email.
Indeed, because um Angela and I attend at Edmondson Heights Elementary School. We have a, what is the name of the meetings, Angela?
Shared, shared thoughts of the mind for you're talking about with Shauna.
Yes, the shared.
It's
And
called it's called the shared of mind. So it's the actual the students, parents,
Mm-hmm.
and then any stakeholders. So that would be any of the neighbors, and of course Edmondson Heights. So we come together and just discuss some of the things that are going on, or the same thing that we do on our meetings. We come together and discuss what we can do better. The students are giving it, of course, from their point of view, and then the parents, and then of course those that are vested in the neighborhood. Anything that's affecting the school up around this, like they had a couple of the shootings up there. So it not only affects the students and their parents, but those that live in
Mhm.
the community. So those are some of the things that they discuss. And then how do we just make it better for everybody in the community so we all can um, pretty much live together and dwell together, so, and we all come
Okay.
from different understandings. So it's just us sharing
Mhm.
Shared decision
ideas.
making,
Hmm.
shared decision making. And it's good to listen to the students because you have students there and they are able to speak freely about, I mean, they are a part of the neighborhood too.
Mhm.
And the things that they have concerns about, the things that they would like to be able to do with the space, with the school, this community school. And I've had a couple, no, whoever the first person was, I don't remember, but I've had someone say that they were interested in putting together some sort of like camp for basketball with the kids.
Okay.
Um, we have if you remember, we have the basketball court. There's two softball fields, softball, baseball. I don't remember, but we do have the space. The school has the space, and we just need to be. We're willing to do some sponsoring, but we
Mhm.
just need to be able to organize things for not just the young people, but for their families to do together. And I definitely, I came into this thinking, yeah, we could put together, they can have little softball games and on it. Yeah, I don't know how to put together softball games. I don't even know how to play softball. But
Mhm.
the heart wants, the heart wants, but to be able to put things together, I just can't. Not I can't, but you
Yeah,
know,
we can work with you on that. I understand.
okay.
They did a basketball camp last summer, I believe, in on the Wilkins side of Catonsville, on the other side of Route 40. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we can discuss that further to
Okay.
try and plan something like that.
Okay. Okay. I will reach out to you and yeah, I'll reach out to you and our person at the elementary school and the person who wanted to he said this is what he's done for forever and I'll reach out to him also. But
Okay.
yeah, we'll definitely I'll reach out to you about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem.
Hi,
Okay.
Jaquista. This is
Yes,
Sharon. I'd like to ask the officer something if I could.
Sure.
sure.
Hi, Officer Weston. My name is Sharon Davis. I'm a resident in the community. Last night, my car was keyed. When I
Okay.
came out this morning, I noticed it. I'm not really sure what time last night it happened, but I was
Hmm.
wondering if you guys could do more night patrols through the community. I live on Granville Road.
Hmm.
I
Yes,
did
we can.
call and I filed a complaint. I have a police report for my insurance company, but I realize you guys are understaffed. But if you could do just some drive-through during the late night hours, it would be appreciated.
Yep, sure. You said Granville Road?
Yes, I live at the lower part, 1183 Granville Road.
Okay. Yep, we can do that. And I will say, me being in charge of the midnight shift, I do have a very good relationship with those officers on that shift.
Wonderful.
And I don't know if you've ever met Officer Brown on the midnight shift. That is his post, and I'm not kidding. I have 16 years on the job. He's probably the best officer I've ever worked with.
Oh my
Um,
goodness. Okay.
he's very good. So I don't know if you all have ever met him, but he has a very good
No,
rapport with people on the midnight shift.
he
Officer
should
Brown's
have some
phenomenal.
rapport.
I look forward to meeting him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's pretty good.
Okay, that's good. Now I want to make sure I'm right in saying Lieutenant Watson.
Yes. Hmm.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Want to know who to point my fingers at. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Um, all right, thank you. Anybody else got any questions for him?
Do Lieutenant Watson, we
Yes.
are now that the weather's changing, we have an uptick with the dirt bikes in the area. So they did a trial run of racing over the weekend. So what are is it still the protocols that you guys don't chase them on the bikes, but at least how do we get that under control where they're zooming in and out of the neighborhood? So
So what?
they'll come down Forest Park, and then they
Mhm.
did I also live on Granville, so they did a ride through Granville, but they'll go up towards the Cooks Lane
Yes.
area when they're coming down. So how is that being handled?
So the way we've handled that in the past, because our policy does say that they they don't want us to pursue. It doesn't say we can't pursue the dirt bikes, but it makes it automatically a high risk pursuit for us. We have a pursuit matrix of low, medium, and high. And what we do is we try to balance the exact verbiage is balancing the seriousness of the offense versus the risk that we put the person we're chasing, the public, and ourselves in. And with dirt bikes, that risk is always starts out at high. So what we've tried to do is investigate, follow them, get our helicopter up, um, see where they actually end up going, getting off the dirt bikes, things like that, and try to do a more upscale investigation, so to speak, not just locking somebody up on the dirt bike that day, but to say, who is this guy on this dirt bike? Where does he live? Does he have more dirt bikes? How do we seize the dirt bikes? Um, and how do we prosecute him as well for, whatever traffic violations they partook in when they were riding the dirt bike? So we definitely have a more intellectual approach to those type of incidents now. So it does take some time, but our regional auto theft task force works very hard with that. I don't know if you ever seen on the news where they recover, you know, 50 dirt bikes at one time because we're able to do some intelligence gathering, some surveillance, and not just make an immediate arrest, but follow them, see where they live, where they're getting the dirt bikes from, and try to take down the entire organization or ring, so to speak. But that is an ongoing uphill battle that we're fighting every summer. We've been fighting it for some years now.
Okay, thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. What
There's
time
a
of day? I'm sorry, real quick, so I can make a note of it. What time of day would you say? Because I know we've had
It
them all times of day. Sometimes you get them Saturday afternoons, Friday evenings.
this was, I want to say this was mid evening, and then it went into the evening. So I'll say around about between 5 and 8. I believe so. And that's
Okay.
just an estimation. I know it wasn't completely dark, and then once it got dark, they were still sort of kind of um
Yeah.
riding through the area.
Okay.
And just to confirm, did you say that you work overnight, these hours that you gave,
I
or is this
used
during the
to.
day?
So
Okay,
this is
so
during the day.
these are your morning hours, 6:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m.
Yes, I was in charge of the midnight shift from
Mm-hmm.
January of 2022 until June of 2024. And
Okay.
then in June of 24, I took over the assistant commander position. So I work the daylight hours now.
And Officer Brown is over on the midnight. So when you say midnight, what times does the shift start and end?
His shift starts at 10:30 p.m. and it ends at 6:30 a.m.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And also, guys, it just reminded me there was a documentary that I watched and I looked it up, and there's several documents about the dirt bike boys and kings and stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll put a link to that on our Facebook page. But I definitely, when I watched it, got a little bit of clarity
Yeah,
on
and I'll
what's
say
going
that made it a little bit more challenging for us as the police department because it glamorized it to some
Hmm.
extent.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things where it did put a lot of information out there, but it also gave people more ideas. And it was, I'll say it was one of those things where there were some pluses and minuses with the glamorization and putting Baltimore on that national scale for that kind of issue. Um,
Yeah, I saw one with it was a documentary, but when I looked it up, I saw a movie and I went, no, that was not the one. There was one, it was not glamorous. It was
mhm,
not. Um, almost the name of it's on the tip of my tongue, but yeah, I think that's more realistic to show. But
mhm,
yeah, so that's yeah, it is that time of year is coming. So okay.
yeah.
Anybody else?
LaQuista,
Okay,
the shared decision meeting is this Thursday at 4:30.
okay,
4:30 to wait a minute. It's normally only for an hour, so it's like from 4:30 to 5:30.
okay. Okay. Because my calendar could be more full than it is. So okay,
And it's
gotcha.
via Zoom now until they go back into the actual school.
Okay, gotcha. Um, okay, thank you, Neil. One other thing I wanted to bring up, if you guys remember last month, Officer Benz Clark mentioned that there is a um I want to call it a code against the putting your chairs and cones out and putting your cones out in front of the houses. And she did send me what that code is, and I guess I'll put it in, I'll get it out there. Not that it matters a whole lot if you're not doing it. Um, but at some point she went through, I know that she did Kirkwood Road, and went through and took up cones and left signs on those people's doors. What the sign said, probably sorry, I got your cone, you can't do this. But just putting it out there that it's I know some streets don't care that it's happening, but for the most part, for me, I was more concerned that people were putting chairs and there's all kinds of stuff out there, and there's no snow. I understand if you dig yourself out, but long after the snow was gone and came back and gone again. And there were people still putting cones and chairs and almost dinette stuff out there. Um, and it just was not the look that we want to have at all. So I was glad she went and she did that, and it takes it off of me and it makes it something that is enforceable by law. So that work, I will say that I smiled when she told me that she took care of that. I will be turning in um a couple of vehicles that are busted up and no tags. I'll be turning those in to be ticketed or towed. Whatever they decide to do with it, I'm just going to be turning them in. Let me go back to my.
And I'll say, whenever you see those vehicles, you don't have to hold on to that information. You can call 911 and you can tell them that there's an abandoned vehicle if it has expired tags, flat tires, and it hasn't moved. So you don't have to hold on to that information. You can call
Okay,
as soon as you see it.
okay, that'll work. 'Cause
Yep.
once when I take walks in the daytime, I see all kinds of stuff. But my time to walk the dog is at night. He's a big dog, as I said. Um, so um,
Okay,
there, yes,
excuse me. That
yes,
uh
ma'am.
that one car in Langford Road that's still there, that's almost on the ground. I don't understand it. And that's been
And
over a year.
I've looked at that when I come down Langford in the daytime, and I think because of the kind of car it is, sometimes I look at it and I go, yeah, it's on the ground. But
Yeah.
then sometimes I look at it and say that kind of car uses that kind of tires, like it where they look low to the ground like that. So every time I pass it, I feel like I see something different. One of the things that I do look at is under the tires. If there's like old leaves and stuff, it looks like it hasn't been moved. I look at that and it's just and try to figure out why nothing's being done about it. Just and
And
try to figure it out in my head.
Well,
you said the vehicle's on Langford Road.
1400 block.
Okay.
It's in the middle of the
It-
1400 block
It's right up
on
from,
the
it's right up from 1451.
yeah,
I'm
it's
not,
on the odd side.
yeah, it's on the odd side. And it's a black vehicle. It's been sitting there, hasn't moved in over
Uh,
a year
over a
or
year.
longer.
Yeah, I think it's a
Okay.
black Mercedes.
Yeah.
Okay, I can have somebody look at it tomorrow. And just so you know, with abandoned vehicles, we don't tow it immediately. We put a yellow sticker on the windshield so that the owner can see that and know that the police have noticed that the vehicle has the elements of what we would classify as an abandoned vehicle, you know, expired registration, flattened tires, heavy damage
Yeah,
that
I think
that
it's
appears
coming
that
just
it's
under that.
immobile. So yeah, we'll look at it and I'll follow up.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
that's been like debatable how abandoned it looks, or it's been debatable. We talk about it all the time.
Okay.
Okay, so all right, where else am I? I got that,
It's a question in
and
the chat.
go
I
for
just
it.
saw if I'll say are they are they selling food out of the truck or are they just parking it there?
Wait,
Because
this is
if it's just being parked overnight and mobile, as long as the registration plates on it are valid and it's not a large commercial vehicle, it can be legally parked in the neighborhood.
we
But
have a
because
um
if it's a truck and a trailer combination, those can be parked in the neighborhood as long as they had. I'm sorry, like a small half-ton truck, like a regular pickup truck and a trailer. But if it was some large thing that looked like an RV, then you know those can't legally be parked.
um this could be I have two ideas. There's on Newfield, there's what looks like a food truck. It may be think that may be one that looks like an RV.
Okay.
I don't think I'm passing by that tonight. Um, and there's one that belongs, it's not as big, it's not as consuming that I know about on Forest Park. And she takes it out on Saturdays and opens it up for, so I haven't seen anything wrong, but on Forest Park, but she says she gets a lot of complaints about. And Forest Park has two sides of the road parking.
Right. Yep.
So they I don't know. I don't know. I'd like two side of the road parking. It seems like there would be less complaining about parking, but it's not.
Yeah,
Um
we can take a look at it.
yeah. Yeah, she says on Forest Park, she says she gets the police calls on her all the time about her food truck.
Okay.
Um yeah, I'd like to see her pull up to the community and anyway, that's a different thing. But okay, there is that. Um, I
So
just wrote down, yes.
Jaquisa, so if the vehicles hasn't moved in over a year or so and still has a valid registration, there's nothing that can be done about that, even though they have flat tires or oil pan. We have one on St. Agnes, um, just up from Granville that has an oil pan underneath it, and it's been there for a while, and it's one that's parked on the side of the park that has not moved and the tires are flat. But if their registrations are valid, there's nothing, even though it's an eyesore with them having that oil pan underneath there for what seems to have been a while.
And where
And
did you
there's
say the
nothing
car is?
done. It's on St. Agnes, the
St. Agnes,
house
okay.
at the top of Granville. It
Mm-hmm.
sits over on, not St. Agnes, I'm sorry, that's
Granville.
Harwell. Um, at the top of Harwell,
Oh,
right in
okay.
front of Granville. So the vehicle has been there and it's parked in front of the house, but it literally has a oil pan underneath it, and then there's one next across the street on Granville that has been sitting there for a while and has not moved. But if their registration is valid, that's pretty much because we got a couple actually on Granville, and some of them we did have a tow truck that was bringing vehicles and parking them at the top of Granville and
Okay.
just leaving them there, and then some of them would be covered up with
Car
car
covers.
covers,
Mm-hmm.
and because it was almost becoming like a drop off for whomever this company was, because I actually took down information and actually a photo of the tow truck and them actually leaving vehicles there. So if
Mhm.
it's a valid registration, there's nothing that we can do. We would like for them to move it if it's not
Mm-hmm.
working. And especially if it has an oil paint underneath it. That's just an eyesore. If you're not working on it, just put it up.
Yeah, I can't say I know every letter of the abandoned vehicle elements, but I can definitely look into it. And I know from other precincts and other commanders I talked to, the abandoned vehicle issue is an ongoing problem, and um, there there have been some discussions about possibly requesting adjustments to the county code because sometimes just renewing the tags and allowing the car to sit there and be immobile and tree sap be on it, the paint starts fading, it's covered in dust. It is an eyesore, so people are taking advantage of that loophole in the county code.
Okay, with that, I'm gonna give you on the corner of Ingleside and Sunset,
Mm-hmm.
the very first vehicle has no tags. There's a
Okay.
truck, there's a truck pulled all the way up to the bumper, so you can't see that it has no tags.
Okay.
But I
Ingleside
saw
and
it
Sunset.
because I'm nosy.
I understand it.
And at the end, um, at the 1500 block of Barrett, on the
Okay.
positive side,
Mm-hmm.
the 1500 block of Barrett is like 1550s.
Mm-hmm.
Side of Barrett, it's a black, can't think of what it is, but it has no tags. It looks
Okay.
like it's just ready to go. So that's what I was going to turn in anyway. So
Okay. So just so
that's
you
what I
know what
got.
I have the abandoned vehicle on Langford Road in the 1400 block, the food truck on Newfield Road near Forest Park Avenue, the abandoned vehicle on Harwell Road near Granville, and then one on Ingleside Avenue in Sunset in the 15. I'm sorry, one on Ingleside Avenue near Sunset, and one in the 1500 block of Barrett Road.
It's on Sunset at Ingleside.
Sunset at Ingleside. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, in the 1550s Barrett Road, a black one. Yeah. Sounds
Okay.
good.
All right.
And the one on Langford Road, the lady that, well, she lives in the house and she has something to do with the vehicle. The last snow we had, she had nerve to put a chair in somebody else's parking space that had shoveled their way out. And I thought, if she moved that car, maybe she would have someplace to park.
She'd have a place to park.
Right.
That was quite annoying to a lot of the people in the block. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes she just double parks all night long.
Okay.
I've seen one of those, and I didn't think it was. I was like, how are they just gonna be parked there?
All night long.
Yeah, I thought I saw one last night, and I went,
Mhm.
surely they're coming back out for the. Yeah,
DeQuisa, could I add one more vehicle to Lieutenant Watson's list?
Uh-oh.
he's
It
right
is
there. Go for it.
a blue SUV. It has no tags on it, and it's
Okay.
it's on Granville Road. It's on the park side. It's across from 11, I believe, 1191. Someone squeezed it in between. It's behind a little Ford Fiesta, which the last time we checked also has expired tags. And it's been, you guys have put stickers on the Ford Fiesta. I have no idea why it's still there. So
So
if you could
if the
have someone
sticker's
take
on
a
it and
look
it's
at those
still,
two.
yeah, I will
Sorry.
say if the sticker's on it and it's still there after
Mhm.
a couple weeks, that I hate to pass the buck on this one, but that one is out of the police department's hands. The county
Oh,
has a contract with a scrapper to come tow those vehicles, and I do know sometimes they do take an extended period of time to get out there because we've had some issues where we've had several vehicles stickered and it took them 30, 60 days to come out and tow the vehicle after we've made several complaints to other county entities that are in charge of that contract.
but the little Ford Fiesta has been there. I think the tags expired in 23.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
once we
it's been called in for a couple of years. I don't know if somebody said it may be a rental or not a rental. Yeah, like the person rented it from a company, but still, you think they would
Okay.
want to retrieve their vehicle.
Okay, well, we'll look into it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, thank you. I did in my. I'm gonna stop saying that I'm nosy and saying that I pay attention to my surroundings at times. And I wish Ed was on here because there's a guy who I guess he dumps cars or puts them there to be resold on Sunset. Um, yeah, on Sunset at the corner of Ingleside and Sunset. He doesn't even live in our neighborhood. I watched him walk down Ingleside, like down away from Edmondson Heights. He got out of one and he walked away from the neighborhood. And I thought, you don't even live here. And yeah. So he was very fishy, which is why I watched him for a while. And while I was watching something else fishy, so I was pulling double duty. Um, and yeah, that was something else I called the police on because the house at the corner, I guess something's being done or somebody's about to move into it now. I saw a guy stop like he was about to and walk up to the house like he was about to deliver. And it was nighttime. And he asked me if I knew the address to the house. And I went, yeah. But he never went to the door and knocked on the door. He just kind of stood there. So my dog stood there. And I went, well, I guess we're just off in here then. Because now I'm interested in what's going on. And it was obvious that no one was in the house. There were no lights on. It may have been one small light somewhere in the house, but it was obvious that no one was there. And me and the dog, we stood there and then we turned and we just kind of doubled back. We went back the way we came from and took a different route in our walk that night. And before we walked away from the house, he drove away from the house.
Mm-hmm.
He acted like he was on the phone with somebody and he walked back to the car and he drove off. And the dog and I, we circled Kirkwood. We came back up because we always come up through the school and the car was back. And as it was back and I was walking back home because I live on Barrett, I called the
Mm-hmm.
cops and I said, yeah, whatever. And I always say, I don't know what it is, but it's not good. That's
Mm-hmm.
those are how my calls end up. I don't really know what it is, but it's not good.
Okay.
So yeah, and that house, I think the owners of it they're doing something to it now. It ends up having renters, but
Okay.
I think will still send them a letter asking that they at least leave some sort of lights on, or I think timers will save a lot of problems. Timers on the houses, just have the lights come on. But yeah, there was obviously no one in that house. No one was home if they did live there.
Okay.
And yeah, that was I call, this was not right, whatever it is. And if they'll do it to that house, they'll do it to mine. So
Mhm.
that's my thinking on anything. So, okay, everybody good?
I have one more, Krista.
Go for
Lieutenant
it.
Watson, I'd like to
Uh-huh.
know, could you elaborate a little bit more about, you mentioned the county code. There was
Mhm.
some thought you said about making some changes. Is there anything we
Yes.
can do as private citizens? You know, at least I know I have expressed to our councilman time and time again that there needs to be some adjustments, particularly for communities like ours, because parking is such a challenge for us here.
Yes.
Could we be
Mhm.
grandfathered into some of the programs they have in some of the newer townhome communities or something to help us to alleviate people from just dumping these vehicles here? It has become a parking garage because they know that the law allows them, you know, if it shows no physical signs of being inoperable and it has an active tag, we have cars on Granville Road that have been here parked for 4 or 5 years.
So I will say, with your neighborhood, the best thing you can do is reach out to your county councilman. I believe it's Pat Young, and I
Mhm.
know Margaret's been is very active as well. That is the best. That I'll say that's the best you all can do on your end is reach out to them,
Okay.
because we do our end. We can basically come at them from both sides, and we can say, hey, the police department has concerns, and so do the citizens. Can we bridge the gap and close some of those loopholes in the county code? Um, I will say, with some of the newer neighborhoods, just know if the street signs are not green, if they're white or blue, some of those areas, those are considered private roads. So
Yeah, and
those
I believe I
HOAs,
understand that the newer
yeah,
communities, I don't want to
and
say
they've been
they
doing
own
that
the
a lot.
roads, but they have more control about what can and cannot be done in those communities. And
Yes.
unfortunately, we, don't have those type of controls.
Yeah, and I know that that does give them a little bit. They can be a little more strict with what's left in the neighborhood because it is technically private property.
Okay.
So when you see signs that are not green, that's usually, if they're like blue or white, those are usually private roads technically, and the county doesn't even plow them. So they can be
Okay.
very strict in those areas, and you'll see towing signs and things like that.
Okay. So all the citizens should just keep hammering to our council person to please try to get us some help with these county codes for the cars that are being dumped in the community then.
Yeah, because they're the only people that can change. Him and the other council members are the only ones that can modify the county code.
Okay, thank you.
No
Okay.
problem.
Yeah, for the most part, we try to encourage, we definitely don't want people to move because of the lack of parking. Although it is getting to that point, and we encourage people to just kind of invest in a parking pad out back. It's really I think it's worth it. I have a parking pad and I'm not trusted to double park in my own parking pad, um but it's definitely worth it. Saves a lot of problems. Um I think, and if I can um whenever I come in contact with anyone who can be of help with creating a parking pad or designing one, I'll definitely put it out there to everybody. So but I do want to say that well, no, I don't want to say that's free advertising for Mark, who does cementing, concreting. Um, he lives in the neighborhood and he does a good job, I've heard. So, um, as far as my agenda goes, everybody, I'm smiling because I'm done, and we've stayed within a really good time frame. And that's what I've been trying to do. Does anyone have any questions, anything that you want me to come back by next month and have answers for, or what have you?
There's a
Yeah, I just
question in
wanted,
the comment area.
oh yeah, I was just going to
Uh,
ask that. Can you provide Mark's contact information for the concrete
I
work?
can. Um, what does my contacts list look like? This is really funny. Yes, I just yep, I sure can. Um, am I calling him? Wait a minute. No, I'm not calling him. My bad. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, Mark lives on, or this is going to be Mark Jr. He lives on Barrett Road. And let me, um, Mark, someone just said that they reached out to me and I said, yeah, Mark, and he said I could give his information out. Um, yeah, I'm bad at this. His phone number is 410
Mm-hmm.
314 410
Uh-huh.
314
Mm-hmm.
65. No, that's not right. That's not right.
Oh, okay.
No, 314 6. Yeah, it is 6589.
That's 410.
That is 410
Mm.
314 6589.
Okay,
It didn't
thank
have
you.
the hyphens and stuff in my phone. So,
All right.
yeah,
Thank you
that's,
so much.
yes, Mark and his cousin. And if you want to see his work, I know that his dad, well, they live on the 1500 block of Barrett. And if you drive down the alleyway, that end unit, it's an end house. And the backyard is cemented in, it's fenced in. If you drive down the alleyway, that's Mark's work there.
Oh,
Um,
all right.
but yeah,
All right.
yeah, I
Thank
just
you.
heard he does great work. So, anybody else got anything for me?
I do. I
Yes,
had
ma'am.
his name is Mark and not Mike.
No, his name is Mark.
Okay. Mark
I
Jr.
did call him Mike. His name is, yep, that's me. His name is
Okay.
Mark.
So if anybody didn't get that, I did put it in the chat. I had a neighbor reach out to me on
Yep,
Forest
there you go.
Park in reference to getting a bush cut down, that bush cut down that's in the middle of the triangle. She reached out to Tommy, and he was coming to actually cut down the bush. However, a tree during the windy weather fell down, and I gave her the information for Baltimore County to reach out to them to actually get the tree removed so that she can actually um, get the bush cut down. So that's just a follow up. So once we actually speak to the design team, we could get a better understanding of what the individuals want in the, especially in our three green spaces, the Triangle, Harwell, and at the park. So I invited her to the actual meeting so she can give her input. She couldn't make it this evening, but I at least wanted to raise the issue up about fallen trees if they are in the neighborhood that they individuals can use the Baltimore County. She hasn't followed up with me to see whether or not they will respond, but at least gave her that information so she can reach out.
There's
That's
also, if I could remember what I put him in here under, um, there was a contractor that got in touch with me. He's interested in the work with the trees on the triangle. Is that what you're talking about?
n- I'm gonna say no. She said Tommy, so I'm thinking this is Tommy that actually works in the neighborhood. He lives in the neighborhood. He actually
Let me see.
literally does my yard. So I'm not quite sure if she was referring to the same situation that you are, because that's an actual company, correct?
Yeah, yeah, there's a
Okay.
company, the trees in the triangle, and I did get, wait a minute. Sorry, this is Mark. Hey, Mark, this, I accidentally called you, just so you know, but we were having the community meeting, and I was saying that someone whose concrete work you did recently let me know that you guys did really great work, and if they needed any, I didn't mean to do this on the meeting, but I just gave your number out in the community meeting.
Okay, cool.
Okay, you're welcome. I just accidentally called you and given your number out.
Oh, okay, it's all good.
Okay, no problem. Talk later. Bye. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry, y'all.
Well, at least you know the number works.
The number works. Yes. And yeah, we have a contractor he just keeps saying I guess he was saying to someone, what were we doing about the trees in the triangle? And he said, finally, the person whose yard he did said, this is who you can call. And he got in touch with me. And yes, that is still good. When I tell you I have that as my very last note comment, that is my very last thing to say. Yes. But and I told him we were looking into what to do with our last, I think year 3 is our last year of the Chesapeake Bay Trust funding. It may and it may not be. But this is the year I'd like to, we may end up putting money with some things. If this is our last year of funding, we may have to, if there's something we really want, because I'd like to see wildflowers and things popping up all over the neighborhood some kind of way. But if we need funding, we may have to put some with it. Not sure. I just want to make it noted that if we do, I'll say something to everybody. But the triangle is maybe what ends up being redesigned. The Parks and Recs doesn't want to be involved in anything that we are doing. So whatever we do, it's going to have to be stealthy. But we want Edmondson Heights Park to not just be something that sits there and collects junk and trash and everything. It's in our neighborhood. It should look like it's in a neighborhood, no matter what it is. Something's gonna give. Something's gonna happen. I'll go and throw some flower seeds over there. Something's gonna happen. I am interested and I'm looking for bulbs to plant in the planters at the park. That was just something I had on my own personal mind to do. I'm not asking anybody for anything. Shared decisions. The shared decision making team asked Angela and I we were supposed to meet with Edmondson Heights Elementary School shared decision making team to discuss. The school is planning on a community garden. I think that is absolutely great. And we are going to whatever we can do to support it in the name of the community, because we'll tell you guys, but I think we're going to help out the best we can. Whatever's good for the school is going to be good for Edmondson Heights. And since there are things that the community can't get together and say, yes, we'd like a better neighborhood, then we're going to put attention on the school and the senior living facility that we sit in the center of. That is that. As I said before, I will, for people who weren't here, it is possible that we will have a dumpster day, a community dumpster day this spring. I will keep you posted. That is it for me. I want to remind everyone that our next meeting is April the 1st at 7:30. Remember to reduce your speed in the Edmondson Heights neighborhood and remind your guests to not speed through here like bats out of hell also. We have had issues with people blocking the alleyways and trash can't be picked up. There's nothing we can do about the trash not being picked up if your neighbors are blocking the alleyway. So that is that. And dues can still be paid without me sending something to everyone, although I will and it can be paid using PayPal, which Zelle is best, and you can always mail something to us. P.O. Box number is everywhere. If not, that is still as it is in the chat. The email address is right there. So if you need Zelle, the president.ehcaonline@gmail email address works. I works for PayPal also, and I also have if you need to just kind of walk something around, I am on Barrett Road. I have a box on my porch that is locked and you can put something in there. Just get in touch with me, same email address, and I'll let you know my address. And you can come and drop it in the box. And I'll close the door so the dog doesn't scare the bejeebus out of you. He still scares me. So if that is all for everyone, it's definitely all for me. And we have made really good time in here. But if anyone needs anything, has any concerns, or has anything they want to reach out to me about, the email address is in the chat. I'm reachable. I have no rant after this meeting, and I appreciate those of you who did stick around to hear me out for the last one. But if that is it for everyone, I'm gonna say grease for peace. I'm gonna say thank you for joining me, and I've got dinner to cook. Good night,
Thank
everybody.
you. Have a good evening.
All right.
All right, thank you all for coming.
Good night, everyone. Be
Good
safe.
night.
All right. Good night.